So good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Thanks for coming to our fireside chat. Unfortunately, we don't have a fire, but instead that we've got a panel and a stage. So this is meant to be interactive. So we do have a little bit of structure to this session. We are going to invite you folks to ask questions and engage with us. So this is about a topic around shaping the future of industrial innovation. So the topic for this fireside chat is scaling and winning in the industrial AI era through partnerships. So specifically, we're going to hear from Radix and we're going to hear from Cognite, and we're going to talk a little bit about how they're being successful to accelerate innovation. So at this point in time, I want to invite our panelists. Oh, yeah. No, there's no slides. No slides. We've let the stage know, or the audience know, there are no slides. No.
Okay. No slides.
Yeah. Does everybody want slides, or have you had enough? Good. Okay. So I want to call to the stage Natalia Klafke, Petri Vanica, and sorry for the pronunciation of your last name, and Flavio Guamere. Okay, so let's start with introductions. Maybe let's Natalia, if you'd like to go first.
Of
Please
course.
tell us who you are and what you do with Radix.
Of course. So nice to meet you, everyone. Thank you for attending this session. My name is Natalia Klafke. I'm EVP of Energy and Sustainability at Radix. Really happy to be joining this session here today.
Petri?
Yes, I'm trying to reach out for the microphone. Thanks for coming over. It's a bit chilly in the room, so we do apologize for that. I was expecting a warming fire here, but we don't have any. And I do also recognize and understand that it's your lunchtime, so we appreciate you all the more for that, for participating. Name is Petri Vanica. I run the marketing function at Cognite as Chief Marketing Officer and spend my time. It's a kind of a deceiving title or role, as I'm more touted as a technologist and a market person, spending half of my days of the calendar around the world with customers and interacting and working with our partners and customers in the field. So that is my role, that's my background, and I'm very pleased to have you here with us today for the chat.
Thanks, Petri. So Flavio, tell us, what do you do with Radix? Tell us about your background.
Okay, thanks Peter for joining us. Thanks everyone. We know that we are competing with lunchtime, so we do appreciate your presence here today. And so I'm Flavio Guimarães. I'm one of the founding partners of Radix, and we are a global technology service company. And today I have two hats, two responsibilities. One of horizontal practices. So it's the group of capabilities that we have inside Radix that we combine in 4 different main areas: technology consulting, engineering, operations technology, and software and data. So all the projects and services that we deliver are based on these capabilities. And my other hat is strategic alliances. So partnerships like Cognite is very important for us because we are not here to reinvent the wheel. So we need really good partners in order to deliver the solutions to our customers.
Right. Okay. So first of all, we want to talk a little bit about industrial AI and the role of partnerships. So we often hear about AI transforming industries, and we heard a little bit about that this morning with ExxonMobil's presentation when they discussed how AI was helping them move to a more visual way of working by finding problems in the field, by overlaying reality capture with design information. So from your experience, Ray, let's start with Natalia. So in terms of AI transforming industries, so from your perspective, what does it truly mean to operate in the industrial AI era, right? So being in the industrial AI era, which we think we are, how has it reshaped the way companies scale and compete? Can you have an opinion on that?
Yeah. So it's interesting to see how this subject became important to our clients in the last couple of years, right? So we in Radix, we've been proud of working with AI for many, many years, right? And it's interesting to see how these technologies are evolving and how fast these transformations are happening. So more recently, when we see like this aggregation of Gen AI capabilities on top of the algorithms that we've been building like for many years, I think this is the power that we see on how can we accelerate and how we can develop more meaningful things, and they are able to reach biggest amount of users and capabilities and use cases. So I do believe that we are in the industrial AI era, and I think this is a very nice time to be in touch with the process industries and to be learning from what the companies that we support are willing to achieve in that area. And we do see a lot of opportunities in place, opportunities that are under process controls and process optimizations and maintenance, reliability, safety. So the list goes on, right? And the challenge is, okay, what can be done now, and how ready are we for those transformations? How can we engage leadership, and how can we work in change management process to make sure that the adoption will happen the right way? How can we accelerate, and how can we scale the right way by leverage the use of data, right? So those are all questions that are in place, and I feel like this industry is very prepared to work on those questions and to take advantage of these technologies right now. So very excited for this point in time where a lot of our clients are looking forward ways and how to leverage these capabilities internally.
So it seems like the industrial landscape has changed quite a bit. Like we have
Massively,
a lot
yeah.
of mature companies that have been in the industrial markets for a long time. They're adding AI capabilities to their existing solutions. We have a number of new market entrants that come. They're not from this industry at all, and they're bringing AI to the industry. So maybe Flavio, let's go to you. How do you see companies scaling, and in terms of competition, what does that look like from your perspective?
Yeah, we see several different levels of maturity in adopting the technology. And we see that the mindset, as I talked before this morning, and the leadership major factors for the success of all these initiatives. Because the technology, as Natalia said, is available for several decades. So industrial AI is something that people has been working for several years. I remember that our first neural network we built 30 years ago in order to support APC projects, so virtual sensors to support APC. But now with the amount of data and the huge computing capacity, so this brings us to another level. And this technology is not a new way, the next level of automation. It's not just only that. It's change the way that people are working, change the way the work is done, and how this can be leveraged, using this to leverage and be more efficient, more productive. And there is a major human factor there. So I see that the competition, it's hard, but the one that will lead are the ones that are investing in what I can do the best use of the data. How can I organize the data? I can collect. So we know companies are investing a lot in collecting the data, several different types of data. So process data, engineering data, transactional data, but how they are connected with each other. So what are the investments I'm doing to enable my team to work of this data? How data ready the companies are, how analytics ready they are. So the leadership needs to foster this mindset of using the data, and I see that the ones that have this, that understood this earlier, are now in the edge of the application of these technologies.
So there's a little bit of a push and pull that seems to be taking place. We still have a lot of legacy systems. We design our systems to the Purdue model, which came about in 1980, and we had sensors and we collected that data with a process historian. But it just seems like architecture is changing, and it seems like there is a part of a pull in developing new technologies in terms, and also there's readiness factors that users need to come to terms with in order to be successful with AI. So, Petteri, you're from Cognite, right?
Very much so, yes.
So tell us what you're seeing with the in terms of readiness and to adopt AI and architectures.
That's a very good question. I started at Cognite a bit more than 6 years ago, coming from a very different set of industries before, always in data, always in platform technologies, always in disruptive technologies. It struck me 6 years ago that not a lot had really happened. And I'm looking back now, and in many, many ways, so many things have changed, and in so many things, nothing has changed. I think it goes back to two things principally. One is the human factor. What do we actually deliver to the field worker? What do we deliver to the continuous improvement teams? What do we actually deliver to the maintenance technicians? What do we deliver to the process engineers? What do we actually concretely deliver to them that makes their life easier today, not in a roadmap 3 years down the line? And then, of course, at the same time, everybody is aspiring towards autonomous operations, automating things, data capture through robotics, where it's not practical to deploy physical sensors or stationary sensors. And then, of course, closing the loop at the other end on automation. And these two come together. But for us to really drive change meaningfully, we really need to look at what do we do today. There's a lot of talk about data foundation. Again, for those who don't know Cognite specializes in contextualizing the disparate data from engineering, operational, IT, and other systems, and fusing those together into a digital twin representation, if you will, for ease of data exploration, discovery, and then building solutions on top. Now, the key thing is you need to be able to make that tangible, make that concrete, make that valuable to the field workers and your users today. That's how you get them on board. They need to see it. I love Michael Talling's opening, what do you show? Start with a visual. What do people see? People don't understand database technologies. They don't understand the difference between a data lake and a data warehouse. And they don't really care, quite frankly, in the field. But when you can make that concretely a part of their today, not next year, not 27, but concretely part of their today, and they can see themselves gaining value from it today by being able to simplify the way they work already today, that's the first step, how you then take them with you on a journey. And it is a journey. We're not there yet. Technologies are not there yet either fully. Everything is a work in progress. Everything is about partnering with the right teams, right companies, to find people who are like-minded, with whom you believe you can be on the journey together. But again, put the people. There's a friend of ours in the audience here who always says human-centric, and that is the key. Put the people there, and then that will allow you to take them on a journey, take your company on a journey, and to get the management buy-in as well. Nothing is more beautiful than when your operations, your IT, and your field come together and say, this is really what we see ourselves doing. This is what we would like to do. This delivers value to us today. And we believe there is a longer-term horizon that was incrementally more valuable, exponentially more valuable, but it needs to start with the value being there today as well.
Okay, so partnerships. So whether it be a digital ecosystem or a partnership, this is a mixed vendor ecosystem that ultimately users are looking for ways to adopt technology. So Natalia, let's go to you. So why do you think partnerships are critical in today's technology landscape? And can you share some examples of how collaboration has enabled companies to scale faster and solve more organizational challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think you mentioned this before. The world is changing. The technology environment is also changing, right? Things are not black and white anymore, right? And in terms of developing solutions, I think this idea of having the ecosystem collaborating together and the companies orchestrating more like a holistic team instead of competing against their roles and their responsibilities. I think this is very a critical factor for success in complex projects. And we see this, every time that we see like an structure or a landscape where people are collaborating that way, like they think about the success of the project or the enterprise beyond their individual success. I think that's how things get done, especially in these days where we do have a lot of complex issues to solve. And we have very good examples. So earlier this morning, we saw Michael Hotelin talking about the open asset digital twin. This is an effort like to put together an ecosystem of multiple players working to develop a common goal of a few components to support the industry. And obviously, we are here with Cognite, and I think the collaboration that started a few years ago, and it was accelerated by one of our clients. It's pretty much about how we create connections between what both companies do and how can we leverage each other's in that area. So in a few of our clients, what we do is Radix comes with the services and the technology as a technology provider. We are around 2,000 digital operations enablers globally, and we create use cases leveraging the power and the scalability of the knowledge graph from CDF. And I think those types of collaborations, they are really helpful in how we can accelerate and extend capabilities from each other. And I think the true success factor is to think about us as one team. Like, if they fail, we fail. If we fail, they fail. Because at the end of the day, the user, he doesn't see the difference between what's Cognite, what's something that was developed by Radix, what was something that was developed internally in their company, and they shouldn't care about that, right? They have to be concerned about how to take advantage of this data that is now available and how to take better insights for the process. And I don't care who is building that for me, right? I think that's the type of collaboration that we believe in. I think this is very critical for success.
So AIRC recently had the opportunity to visit ITSec. It's one of the world's largest simulation education and training conferences, and we kind of stepped outside of our industry because we like to do that every now and then. So what we saw with aerospace and defense is they use the terms application or platform or simulation. It's synonymous, but it's also very open in terms of the way that the vendors work together and bring together systems. Like they use the terms like avoiding vendor lock-in as part of like bid specification. So it's sort of built into the way that they work. And when I hear Exxon and others, part of the Open Asset Digital Twin Working Group, thinking about open ecosystems, it kind of changes the way it impacts standards, it impacts the way vendors work together. So maybe Flavio, from your perspective, when you hear about things like open digital ecosystem or separating data from software, what does that mean to you?
I'd say in the current scenarios, it's still a challenge today in order to separate hardware from software and software from data. It opens a lot of possibilities. I see that there are big possibilities, but we need to find new ways to work with this landscape because the business engagement change and all the intellectual property that is there that people have been investing for a long time. So it opens several opportunities, but also brings a lot of challenges to find the proper way to connect. We have been seeing really good examples how to open architecture platforms have been able to connect with new solutions and new optimization solutions, new control solutions. So that brings a lot of opportunities. And the thing is, so we need to sit together, the solution providers, the technology providers, and the end customers to find the best scenario where everyone will benefit from this landscape.
So my question was next to you, Petri, from Cognite's perspective. You're a relatively new company. Do you see a role in Cognite helping systems to be more open?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess kind of we're privileged in the sense that we are a relatively new player in the market that was born in the cloud native, and openness as one of our strong ethos. It's probably very different for those folks that are in the industry who have been around and building software stacks for the last 20 or 30 or 40 years. It's not easy to retrofit and re-architect everything to be actually inherently open. Coming from the new world, representing the future, it's a no-brainer. Like, why else? How else would you architect software than being fully open if you were to start today? I don't think it's not so much a philosophical question in that sense. I think it comes naturally to everyone who's part of the modern wave of software development and architecting. But again, if the software solutions date back 25 years, the re-architecture of those is a mighty undertaking. On the partnership side, fully agree with the good folks around me here. It's all about finding the right partners. At Cogna, we look at it from a values perspective fundamentally before we go into anything else. And we like to live our values. That's what my T-shirt here reads. So impact, it's all about driving impact for the customer, value for the customer, taking ownership, sharing accountability with our partners, but genuinely taking ownership of the customer's best interest at the end of the day, and then being relentless. It might sound funny or kind of a weird choice of a word for a value, but this is not an easy space. Things don't always happen as you plan them ahead. So you need to really be relentless and always put the customer's best interest at first in the partnership ecosystem that we've formed and are formulating around our customers for their best interest. But it really is about having the willingness, having the shared drive, the shared value, the shared goal, and then genuinely committing to the best of the customer and seeing it through all the way. It's everything else follows from there. It's a human business at the end of the day. So we are here to deliver to humans and to businesses as the second order beneficiary from the humans. But also on the partnership level, it's very much about the human trust, the interaction. Without the trust, everything becomes very transactional, and that doesn't really lead to great outcomes.
Terry, to your point, just to complement on that, so we see we'll have an agenda this week, and the whole agenda for Radix is about partnerships, right? So tomorrow we'll be talking with one of our clients, Celanese, about a partnership developed in the solution that is Joe AI. We have Devon here as well, and we'll be sharing this partnership for Leafcutter. So there are a few opportunities when we integrate with our clients and we operate on behalf of them in a more than transactional way, to your point. And I think those kind of elements, they are super critical for success and for delivering the good results.
So we promised the questions from the audience. So you've all taken the time to give up your lunch and hear from Radix and Cognite. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. And Andre has a microphone. He'll come to you. We just ask that you stand up, or you don't need to stand. Just say your name and who you work for and ask the question.
And please do ask the tough questions.
Yes. Thank you.
Hello all, really good talk. My name is Madhur Bedre. I'm from a small system integrator company called Atlas Prediction Control. We talked about partnerships here, and in the conference, this is our first time here. We saw a lot of end users and the technology owners here. Not as many of the system integrators, but they are like somewhat of the last mile delivery, right? Like we work in the advanced process control industry, for example, and we work with plastics plant implementing these process control solutions. What do you see the role of the system integrators in this space when it is so much driven from the end user perspective? But there is so much domain knowledge that these system integrators possess on the last mile. Good question.
Anybody want to take that?
Yeah, so I obviously very biased on this conversation, but and Terry can complement. But the way that we see is it's so much easier to connect the technology discussion with the value stream, right? So, and we have a few examples where, we started a very high level conversation with some clients, but the way that, the engagement and the relationship really evolved was when we were able to find one first opportunity that was very connected to a value stream. So, and the role of, services companies to help to identify those value streams to our technical capabilities, to the knowledge of the operations, and in our case is a very It's a combination of OT, IT, and ET all together to support asset performance and asset optimization. Those kind of activities where we identify and we connect with a pain point, exactly, right? And those are the ones that really accelerate the engagement in terms of technology and how the transformations will happen. So I fully support you. And in terms of advanced process control, this is a topic that we always operate. So let's keep in touch.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I mean, there's many SIs in the world. Being a specialized one, having deeper domain expertise always comes in very, very handy and is value adding. If there is one area that will be disrupted through AI, it is also the SI space, both on the data pipeline configuration management, integration, harmonization side, which today can be manual, or it can be more automated like we would like to prescribe to you guys. But that is one area where there's a lot of innovation taking place, and we'll see leaps and bounds in the next months to come. The other one is the application solution development space and configuration space. So equally, if you haven't tuned into what's happening currently using AI technologies to author applications from sentences, an incredibly exciting space. So again, there's a lot that will happen there. We are very bullish on it, and we love working with innovative partners who are at the forefront of it, who are adding value, building business value, instead of looking at it from a mechanical time and materials basis only.
Maybe just as a follow-up question to that, because I agree, there's a large system integrator market that's helping users to develop technologies. So thinking about technologies, specific ones like knowledge graphs, do you have recommendations for SIs or other service providers to help develop those capabilities to better serve asset owners?
Absolutely. Come by our booth and we'll teach you all about it. So very, very happy to have that conversation with anyone and every one of you individually and in person as well. So, but yes, there's one little truth when it comes to making generative AI hallucination-free and grounded in actual facts. Again, we're all in the engineering domains here ultimately. So as engineers, we prefer facts. We prefer mathematical correctness over ambiguity and randomness. So the only way to really anchor LLM-based technologies to provide deterministic answers that are hallucination-free, that you can actually root cause and go back and validate the source of the answer, is by anchoring it into a knowledge graph-based technology on the backend side. So you're basically using the LLM as a translation service to translate from human requests. So you don't need technical PhDs writing code that then go into the knowledge graph to retrieve and obtain and then control and orchestrate. But at the end of the day, just think about LLMs plus graph is a magical combination to make a lot of things happen. So yes, you should be looking into it, and we're more than happy to help, and our partners here are more than happy to accelerate your journeys on that.
And you can pass in our booth to check out on Joe AI, which is a proof of this combination, right?
Flavio.
Just to add that we see that the service providers, SIs and technology service companies, they play a major role in this innovative ecosystem. And in order to bring the technology to the next level. So for instance, advanced process control. So we know that there is a very big barrier culturally with operators, with the teams to adopt that. How can AI or even Gen AI support APC adoption, support regulatory control optimization adoption? So having a co-pilot there that supports the operators and engineers in order to guide them in the best and the most effective way to operate the plant. And then I see the role of technology service companies, SIs, in order to bring together the technology and then domain expertise in order to build effective AI solutions that will make these traditional systems much more effective.
So, Natalia, you and I were having a conversation beforehand about trust. And, it might be important. We use the example, some of us, when we get a result off, Gemini or whatever the tool might be in order to access the internet, my trust was 7 or less. And I actually look at multiple sources, and maybe I'm not so trusting of the newer technologies. I think that we're faced with that same challenge when we go to industry. So using the example of co-pilots or advisory to tell operators where the advanced process control is moving the process. That's all really important. So specifically in terms of trust, how do we help the industry trust the technology better?
Yeah, I think this is a great question and goes back to the topic that we discussed about the human factors, right? Um, we have the opportunity to really accelerate the adoption of Gen AI specifically through our business, but we also have this big responsibility of proving that this is the right direction and they are not taking the wrong decisions based out of that, right? And this is about building this trust model where first we explain what this is all about. We want to make this democratic. We want everybody to understand what we want to achieve together. I think this is the first element. Identifying those barriers. We discussed this earlier. We have like this feeling that some people still believe that using like GPT for checking out your email is cheating. Is it though? Like, don't we want to enable our employees with those capabilities? But I think there is a lot of feelings that are still in place in terms of what can we do this and how can we use this in the better way? What are the new etiquette in this world? Is it cheating? Is it not? Right? How can we communicate with our group of employees so they can feel confident that, no, this is a tool that we are providing you with superpowers. And instead of cheating, right? You now have superpowers and we believe that you perform so much better. So I think, so here's what we are doing, right? We've been working in change management for many years, and we are developing a framework for change management specifically for Gen AI. And we are, supporting those pillars, addressing specifics of what we are finding from, a few clients that have large adoption rate, where we can learn from these users and we can retrofit in those models. But obviously, everything is very new. So we are learning on the process on how to communicate better with the users and how to get this feeling from I don't trust it to I feel like I can be so much better with those tools. This is the achievement that we want to have.
Petri?
I can give a very simple, concrete example of the trust dilemma. It's much easier to get people to trust things they can validate themselves. So when you're deploying generative AI solutions that inherently have their own special characteristics, as some people like to say, somebody even said that the best characteristic of LLMs is that they're dream machines. They're like humans. That's what makes them feel so human-like when we first came across them a couple of years back. Now, what you should look at and what you should do in your solution front ends is always allow the end user to validate the source of what they're being provided, right? It sounds simple. It can be done. It's not science fiction. It's live today. But when the AI agent or the co-pilot provides an answer or a suggested answer, just ensure it has a hot link that it can be traced back to where that answer is retrieved from. If you're asking for an engineering specification, maximum pressure for something, you're asking for an instruction or something, make sure it actually allows you to navigate back to the source document and highlights where it's from. It's that simple. It's really, really simple at the end of the day. And then I'm sure that as years go by, or hopefully not years, but months, and as the same end users have been asking the same or similar type of questions hundreds of times over from the same agentic solution, and they've always been offered the ability to go and validate, and it's been right 100 times out of 100 last time they validated, then at some point in the future, perhaps they will bypass that validation step and they'll just trust the system intrinsically. But we don't, as humans, tend to trust things blindly, especially as engineers. We want to validate. Our entire education is built on validation, empirical, hypothesis forming and then validation. So just live by that same ethos. And again, technology-wise, perfectly doable today. Not science fiction, not next year, not future. It's perfectly doable today.
So I just, one more comment about the trust. And so I am running a session. This is about my session. At 4 p.m. on Wednesday, we're going to have Marathon Petroleum and Petrobras. They're going to talk about closed loop AI optimization. The session's called AI digital twins. I hope that everybody can attend this, because I think there are other important factors that you've all touched upon, and some of that is IT/OT governance, or IT/OT/ET governance. So before we move on and talk more about partnerships, I think we had a question from a gentleman here at the back. Yeah, please
Yes,
go
my
ahead.
name's Scott Waptel. I'm with Superior Silica Sands. We're a sand mine in South Texas. The challenge I see is, we don't have 15 years to implement something and think about it and discuss it. It's like now you got a year. Let's go. And that's where the partnership becomes really critical to do this. And we're also not an application that there's 100 people have done this and it's off the shelf. So it also has a lot of risk associated with it because you're cutting a new trail, right? So in a partnership model, how do you share that risk? Because and I think the risk sharing is not just on the financial, but who's going to do all the work. And if it doesn't work the first time and the second time, I mean, it's a different model than I give you a check, you send me this, we put it in and plug it in and it works.
Go ahead, Flavio.
I see that there is a third dimension of the partnership, as Natalia and Peter has already mentioned. That's the relationship with the customer. So the partnership is the technology provider, the service company, and the customer. When the three of them sit together and then they work as a one single team, yeah, and then start to establish this trust. So the customer problem is also our problem. It's also the technology provider's problem. So when they are all together there, so the risks start to share. So everyone must be successful there. And this, regarding new technologies, so Natalia mentioned about the change management. So we see that these actions of change management, especially training the team, communicating to everyone inside the company, is really important. So not a distraction, because you have everyone having the skin into the game. So everyone will be together there to solve. And then you need to have digital enablers inside, focal points inside the company in order to accelerate this process. But the three parties, the customer, the technology provider, the service company, they need to work as one team in order to accept the risks and work together towards the successful projects there.
I'd like to add that a year is a leisurely long time. So, if you were to come to us, for example, I'd like you to rather challenge us, what can you deliver to me in a month that is valuable, or in 2 weeks? Like, let's make it bolder. A year is a long time. It's an awful long time.
Okay, I think we got one more question over here. Yep, please go ahead.
Hi, it's actually a comment. Jay Manisheri, Fluence Analytics. I used to do APC in the 80s, so I like to give an analogy. You mentioned risk, and the flip side of risk is reward. I remember in the early 80s, I convinced my company back then, Honeywell, to say, okay, go do APC. It was early days, and then say we're going to do it for free. Okay? But we're going to take a percentage of the profits off. So it's the risk reward. So I used to open the discussions that way. And every single time it started with the risk and the payment, and then not a single refinery did the profit sharing. So if we talk about risks, we need to be able to look at the flip side of that, which is reward. So if we ask our suppliers to partake in the risk, we should also be able to share the rewards, especially when it's an application that doesn't have too many other solutions to it. So I think some of the lessons from the past apply here. So when we talk about risk, we need to also look at the reward side of the equation. Thank you.
Thank you, yeah. All right, so we've only got 5 minutes left. I want to finish up on closing that gap between vision and execution. So where companies are stumbling with the execution piece, so what are some key barriers in scaling AI through the industrial setting, and how are partnerships overcoming them? Natalia, let's go with you first.
Yeah, so I think there are a few barriers. And depending on the maturity level of each of these companies, they will find different types of challenges, but a lot of them are still to figure out. There is this human barrier, like first thing is I don't understand this, so I'm not sure if this will bring the value. So this idea of how can I prove ROI over those investments, that we see some companies that they look at this type of engagements as more foundational. This will accelerate across many types of opportunities and processes inside my company, and those are they tend to be the ones that are going to move faster and to be more successful. The ones that are trying to evaluate, I will only invest X based on this amount of return, immediate return, they will be a little lagger in that front, and they will have more challenges on identifying those opportunities. Because I think the important piece of that is the transformational factor that it can bring to the processes and the workflows. And when you look at this in a more holistic ways, I think that's how we can accelerate and scale. Obviously, there is a few components on the execution side. How do we make those initiatives a success? How we ensure that we move as fast as possible, but with the trade-off that we cannot put in operation a solution that is not quite there yet, because people don't have like the same patience on bugs, on problems on the application. So those type of things are still a matter of having the balance between achieving results fast, working on foundational things that can accelerate developments in the future, and also making sure that we are addressing the end users' expectations at the end of the day.
Okay. Petri, in comments?
Yeah, I think it's always easy to find reasons why not to do something. That's actually much easier than coming up with a convincing case why to do something. The why to do something case is rather simple. Articulate and define the value, map it out, make sure there's something quick. Quick wins are massively powerful in convincing your organizations and your stakeholders to come with you on the journey. Because it is a journey, but without the quick wins, it's going to be a painful one. So you need to ensure quick wins first. And ultimately, you need to also ask yourself the question, can you afford not to? What is the cost of inaction? It's unfortunately quite a few times I've heard a customer say, well, the cost of us not doing anything is nothing. And then I do wonder, is that really so? If we look at the companies who are thriving today, are those the companies that did nothing? I beg to differ. So again, map out the value, stay on the course on value, keep everyone accountable, hold everyone accountable, hold your ecosystem accountable to delivering on the value that they promised to deliver to your business. And then also, it takes a leap of faith at times. Risk and reward takes a leap of faith.
Yeah. All right, Flavio, we get the closing comments.
Okay. So I see two types of difficulties here. So one is technical, as Natalia has already said. So the level of maturity. So how ready are the data? So it's the data availability, the quality of the data, if the data has a good quality, and also the analytical capabilities. So is the team ready to work with all this data? And also the infrastructure. So do I have the right infrastructure, hardware, software, especially to scale if I have a global operation? So technology is one dimension. The other one is the human factor. And I see 3 points that the human factor, so organizations need to work. I have already said leadership. Leadership is important. It's not signing the check. It's not only funding the project. So leadership needs to be there, fostering the change management, using the data to take decisions to the organization. So they do the walk the talk. So second one's collaboration. Collaboration amongst the different teams. So we have the operations team, the engineering team, the IT team, the analytical teams. So they all need to work together. So when we're talking about artificial intelligence, we're talking about several different disciplines. And this knowledge is spread all over the company. So the teams need to work together. So collaboration is very important. And as Peter said, so not only a data-driven organization, but a value-driven organization. So the data-driven needs to be connected to the value-driven in order for all the initiatives of its fail fast. But all the initiatives need to be connected with the value that this will bring to the organization.
All right. So everyone, thanks very much for joining the fireside chat without the fire. Please join me in thanking our panelists.